in the game. It's in the game.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the last one, the In the Game podcast. I'm your host, Jordan Stacks on Stacks, lads. And today, as you can see, I'm being joined by a very special guest. I got my guy, Maurice Smith from the Killer Crossover podcast. He's going to be joining me on this final escapade here. Looking forward to it. How you doing tonight, Mo?
I'm good, brother. How about yourself?
Let's go, y'all.
I'm good, man. I'm good. Well, I mean, it would have been better if the Bucks won, but it is what it is. You know, I knew it was going to be a long series, but I was really hoping we'd pull out the W today because then I feel like we would be in total control of the series. You know, but we're going to get into that series in a minute. I do have to mention we are being brought to you by Tavour. Make sure to go to the Tavour.com or download the Tavour app straight to your mobile device and use promo code Taproom for $10 off your first purchase of $25 or more. So, Mo, let's just get right into it. Let's talk about the Bucks game. So, obviously, you know, the game was pretty quick. Celtics jumped out to a 20-point lead. Bucks climbed back in with an 11. But really, the first half, the Celtics shot 66% from three. They outscored the Bucks by 41 points from three in the entire game. I mean, that's kind of difficult to overcome. Series is tied 1-1. What's your thoughts on the Bucks Celtics series? I'm trying to get updated series prices on it because Celtics opened minus 220 to win the series. After game one, it flipped to Bucks minus 130. I'm guessing it's back to Celtics plus 120 now. Celtics plus 120. Or I'm sorry.
Okay.
No, that is not updated. There is no updated price. I'm guessing it's going to be like a pick 'em, like minus 110 on both sides. What's your thoughts on the series?
Okay.
Obviously, they're going back to Milwaukee. Milwaukee has home court advantage right now. They did steal it by winning game one. So what's your thoughts on this series here?
I mean, you're the road team, when you start on the road in a series, your objective is always to get one on your opponent's floor. So the Bucks definitely did accomplish that over the weekend. Game one, you know, I think Boston was still riding high on sweeping the Nets, and they came out maybe not expecting or ready, I should say, for the Milwaukee's physicality. Like, Milwaukee was very physical the entire game. Giannis was pushing folks around, doing what he does. The Milwaukee just had Boston on their heels the entire game in game one. So I felt like they weren't prepared. This time around, game two, what we saw earlier tonight, Boston came out quick, and they were looking to make a statement. And they were hitting, like you said, 66% from the field. That's a hell of a shooting percentage at home, and they got the crowd behind it. And they responded like I thought they would. I didn't think they were going to come out and blow Milwaukee out, but I definitely expected a better effort on both ends of the floor. And they responded nicely tonight, man. So the series goes back to Milwaukee. Milwaukee's a great home team. So it's going to be fireworks these next couple of games. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty interesting, and here's why. You know, the first game, Giannis, honestly, he wasn't that good shooting the ball. 9 for 25, 24 points, 13 rebounds, 13 assists, and really it was people were knocking down shots around them. That was the biggest difference in the game. They went 12 of 34 from three, and tonight they went 3 of 15 from three, right? In game one, the Celtics went 18 of 50 from three. In game two, they shot over 44% from three. They were at 66% in the first half. They kind of cooled off a little bit. Now, the Celtics, they came into the series with the best defense in the NBA over the course of the entire season. So I knew it was going to be a battle all along. I did not expect this to be a blowout either way. You know, I did say after game one, I was a little concerned because Giannis didn't play that well. And for the Bucks to win the series, Giannis has to play well. You know what I mean? Like, he can't.
That's a given.
You know what I mean?
That's a given, yeah.
I felt like game one, they kind of stole one. In game two, like, yeah, they lost by 23 points, but it really isn't that bad. I mean, they played decently defensively. It's just the Celtics were hitting everything, dude. I mean, Grant Williams went 6 for 9 from three. You know what I mean? Like, what's the like? There's no way Boston's gonna sustain that. You know what I mean? Like, that's a
No.
difficult thing to sustain throughout the course of a series.
Right.
So I definitely, I expect Bucks to come home and take care of home court. Can they win both games? Yeah. Bucks have been here, dude. They went down 0-2 in the finals, came back, won 4 in a row to, I think, a much better Phoenix Suns team. So, and I know Middleton's not on the court, dude, but I do like what I've seen from the Bucks without Middleton. The ball is moving a lot more. And I really thought at the end of the game tonight, I thought the Bucks kind of figured something out with Giannis being the roll man, because dudes were just driving to the rim wide open, and no one was, because they were so worried about Giannis. So I think that's going to be something to look forward to in Game 3. And like I said, I don't expect Boston to continue shooting the leather off the three like they did tonight, dude. I don't think that's sustainable.
Right. I agree with you. Tonight is what we like to call aberration, that good home cooking. Celtics, they did what they had to do. Now they got to go back to Milwaukee, as we already stated. I think Giannis, attracts so much attention around him. I think the key for Game 3 is guys like Bobby Portis, Pat Connaughton, and Grayson Allen got to be ready to knock that thing down.
Yep.
Because they're going to send a double and triple team to Giannis every single time down the floor. So those guys that I mentioned, they got to be ready to knock down that three ball. I think that they can do that. They'll be in pretty good shape. Defensively, I think the Bucks need to bring the same defensive intensity that they brought in Game 1. Be physical, primarily with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Mentioning him, he really killed the Bucks tonight. So I think he needs to be at the focal point.
But he really only killed him in the first half, dude.
Report.
He only scored 5 points in the second half. They kind of shut him down, and that was the thing, is like they shut him down. And remember, I told you before the season series started, I was like, the one thing that I like about playing Boston is their offense gets hella stagnant, and they start to just rely on one-on-one basketball, and they kind of did that in the second half, and they did that a lot in Game 1 too. And so
that's why Milwaukee was able to get back in the game briefly in that second half today, because they were just one-on-one, falling in love with long jumpers and stuff like that.
Yeah, and the Bucks were making a run, dude, and they got within 12 points, but what kept killing them is they would get a stop, and then the fucking Celtics would get an offensive rebound. And that's the thing when you face a team that shoots a lot of threes, dude. There's a lot of wacky rebounds coming off, like long rebounds, so anything's possible. Ended up killing them. I don't know. I'm not gonna like look at the points, the score today, because I've seen the Bucks get blown out by plenty of teams in the playoffs and games, and then they come back and fucking win the series. So it is what it is. I totally expected Boston to win this game. I did play Milwaukee.
Likewise.
I did play Milwaukee +5 because I felt like they were kind of getting a little disrespected, so I just played the number. But I really love the under 216 in that hit, so I'm glad about that. We got a game. We got a Game 2 going on right now against the Warriors and Grizzlies. Right now, it's tied 89-89 late in the fourth quarter. What's your takeaway on Game 1? I mean, Draymond gets ejected. Game 2, Dylan Brooks gets ejected. What's your thoughts on how that series is playing out so far?
Very entertaining series. As far as the ejections are concerned, I thought in Game 1, I felt like Draymond definitely did deserve a flagrant 1. Yep. Flagrant 2, that's debatable. I mean, obviously he has a reputation. I was joking around with my friend today, and I said Draymond is basically this generation's Rasheed Wallace. So every time he does something, every time he yells, every time he gets combative, demonstrative, hostile, whatever you want to call it, the refs are going to be trigger happy. Definitely think he got thrown out based on his reputation. I don't think he was trying to hurt the who did he foul? Was Brandon Clark? Yeah, it was Brandon Clark that he fouled hard. I don't think he was trying to hurt him. I think he was just simply trying to stop him from scoring. It was a hard playoff foul, and it was aggressive, but you can see as Brandon Clark is coming down, he's trying to help him up, trying to make sure he doesn't hit the court too hard. And fast forward to game 2 with Dylan Brooks. I mean, again, another hard foul. Whether that deserved to be a flagrant 2 or not, an ejection, that's debatable as well. I just felt like the refs had to make up for what happened in game 1. That's my opinion. They had to make up for that call in game 1. But as far as my take on the series, it's very entertaining. You know, it's very close. I think both teams are evenly matched, and it just comes down to execution. You know, the Memphis really struggled with execution in that first round. And I said on my pod the other day that I really felt like if Minnesota was a more disciplined team, I could have made the argument that Minnesota could have ended that shit in 5 games. The way that they were up so many times in that series and just let the Grizzlies off the hook.
Bro, 3 of the games they were up. They had 15-point leads and blew it.
Right. So as far as this series, man, I can definitely see it going the distance. I mean, you got 2 of the best players in the world in Ja and Steph, and yeah, they're getting after it right now, man. It's coming down to the wire once again in game 2. So I like what I'm seeing from a fan perspective.
Yeah, I mean, Grizzlies have had the Warriors number the last couple of years.
They have,
and I kept telling people don't put a ton into what the Warriors did to the Nuggets because the Nuggets, you know, they were down 2 of their best players. You know what I mean? Like
they're a depleted team, right?
That was a series that I felt the Warriors. I mean, they won in 5. I felt they should have easily won in 5. Like that was a series where, you know, obviously they should dominate. I think the one thing that's been the outlier for the Warriors in the playoffs is obviously that Jordan Poole is just going bananas, right? Scored 31 points in game 1. He's been having a crazy
coming out the party.
Yeah, and Steph honestly hasn't been playing that well. Like he had a couple of good games against Denver, but I mean he wasn't very good in game 1 against the Grizzlies, and you know then Draymond gets ejected, and the Warriors still win that game. Like I kind of looked at that and I said on Sunday night on Taproom Sports Podcast, I said, you know, this is a terrible loss for the Grizzlies. You're at home, game 1. You could take control of the series right away and set the tone. Draymond gets ejected and you end up losing the game. You know, that's a terrible, terrible loss, especially for a young team. And we're kind of seeing them like unfold here at the end too. Like now it's 95-91 here with 4 minutes left. So, I mean, this is a young team, dude. And like you said, Minnesota, I thought was the better team in that series, and they lost the series.
Right.
You know?
100%.
They're just a dumbass team.
Yes.
Like, they are not a smart team.
It's very, very understated, bro. It's just the worst coaching job, the worst shot selection, just undisciplined basketball I've seen in 20 plus years watching NBA playoffs. Like it was just, bro, what are you doing? Step on their fucking necks, man. You got them under the rope. You got them under the rope to they're the higher seed, and you're up double digits that many times in the series, and you can't get it done. It's just,
bro. Game 6,
Minnesota got to do some soul searching.
Game 6
in the offseason.
Mo, Game 6 Game 6 when Minnesota was down 4 with 2 minutes left. And they bring the ball up the court. There's 22 seconds on the shot clock, and Cat just fires like a 30-footer. I was like, this game's over, bro. Like they're not even serious, dude. And then, like, with 30 seconds left, down 4, fucking Patrick Beverly has a wide open layup. You can cut the game to 2 and foul, right? And extend the game. This dude dribbles backwards to the 3-point line. It fires like a fucking ultra sidestep 3. I mean, dude, that's the last guy you want shooting that shot.
Just, exactly.
And there's a lot of people that are like, oh, Pat Bev's the fucking heart and soul of that team. Well, they need him to be he's not going to be the brains, but they need someone to be the brains of that team. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that's what that team is missing. Anyways, I had to get that ran off because the Timberwolves and the Jazz pissed me off the most in this first round, dude.
Yeah, Jazz went out sad, man. Like Spider.
Very sad.
I don't know what happened to that kid, man. Like his shot selection is terrible. Bro. And this was his 4th or 5th year in the league. He still hasn't progressed as a playmaker. Like, man, get in the gym, man. Get your IQ up. Get your IQ up, man.
Bro, people were fooled by the bubble. He had a outstanding series against the Nuggets in the bubble, and he hasn't really been the same since, dude. I mean, he even his numbers decreased last year. You know what I mean? So I'm not very high on Donovan Mitchell, dude. I think he's one of the most overrated players in the league. If I keep seeing Knicks fans talking about how they're gonna get him, like, yeah, good luck with that. Like, y'all haven't been shitty for fucking 2 decades, anyways, dude. Why don't you
I
just
mean,
continue it, dude?
if if you're a Knicks fan and Donovan Mitchell is your savior, you set the bar really, really low.
Dude, just ugly stuff. All right, let's talk about who do you have winning this series? The Grizzlies Warriors series. Who do you think pulls it
Oh,
out?
right. I have Warriors in 7 games. I think it goes the distance.
Man, before game 1, I thought for sure the Grizzlies were gonna win this series, but after that loss, dude, and I mean they're down right now. Even if they were to pull out this win, dude, I still think the Warriors are gonna win this series. Now, I think I'm with you, Warriors, and I'm gonna say 6 games just because they get that home court on the 6th. And if they have home court advantage and they just let Jordan Poole make a wide open layup, great defense. Yeah, I'm gonna say Warriors in 6.
I must be I must be delayed. I got rid of my cable and I got Hulu Live, so I must be delayed a little bit.
Oh man, that's a good thing you cut your cable. But yeah, all those streaming services are always like a little bit behind. The worst
Yeah.
one is Paramount Plus, dude. If you watch NFL on there, you're like 3 minutes behind.
Yeah. I've watched a couple Raider games on there. That shit had me highly frustrated.
Dude, especially if you're like online, dude, you could see people like talking about something. You're like, what? This hasn't even happened. Like, what the hell? And then 2 minutes
Right,
later, it happens, and
exactly.
you're like, oh, wow, that's crazy. All right, let's talk about the Sixers
Exactly.
and the Heat, dude. What's your thoughts on the Sixers Heat series? Joel Embiid out for game 2, maybe out for longer. We don't know yet. Miami blew them out 106-92 in game 1. What's your thoughts on this series here?
If no Embiid, bro, bring out the brooms.
Damn, you
There's
think they're
really
gonna
not
get
much to
swept,
talk
bro?
about. Yeah, without Embiid, without Embiid, I'm giving the Sixers zero chance. Like James Harden looks a shell of himself. He looks
Yeah.
fucking cooked, bro.
Yo.
Like he looks fucking cooked. He's not the same James Harden anymore.
Yo.
He doesn't have the refs in his back pocket anymore. So it's just unless Tobias Harris has some type of outer body experience, bro. I see if the Heat do what they're supposed to do, man. I see this shit ending in 4 games, man. I don't see how the Sixers can be competitive in this series without Embiid, who, in my opinion, is the MVP of the league this year.
Yeah, I mean they definitely need Embiid for sure. I think the craziest thing about this series, Mo, is like I honestly thought if there was going to be a game that the Sixers were going to win, it was going to be game 1 because that's usually when you see crazy
Right.
stuff happen, right?
Right.
Dude,
Exactly.
Tyrese Maxey was bad too. And like that's a guy I expected to be better. Like he was taking
Yeah.
a lot of dumb shots, dude. Like he was 1 for 6 from 3 and he was taking like 30 footers
Yeah.
early in the shot clock. Like
Mhm.
I don't understand
Right.
why he had the worst plus minus on the entire team. He had the worst plus minus in Jim Harden, which is hard to even do. I do think a big part of that is DeAndre Jordan was like one of the worst players on the floor. They cannot play that dude in this series. When
Yeah.
Paul Reed was in there, they were much better. They cannot play that dude. Um I don't know if the Heat are gonna sweep, dude, because the Heat are a funny team, man. They're a team I don't really understand. They're great defensively, don't get me wrong, but they do struggle on offense at times. And then
That's a solid point.
Jimmy Butler is not
That's a fair
100%.
point.
PJ Tucker's not 100%. Kyle Lowry
Yeah.
is
Kyle
hurt.
Lowry's still out, right?
Yep,
He's still out, right?
yep.
Yeah.
He's out, and then Victor Oladipo's kind of been up and down since he's come back. So I think the Sixers can definitely steal a game without Embiid, and if Embiid plays, I think they could steal a couple of games. I do think the Heat are the better team though, for sure. Especially if
Right.
Jim Harden is playing the way he has. Like, it's gonna be very very difficult for them to win.
Yeah.
You have the Heat in 4.
I mean, I do, man. Like I said, I can't. I just don't envision the Sixers winning without Embiid. I mean, he's everything in that team. He opens shit up. He spaces the floor. He's a matchup nightmare. Like he would kill Bam, 1-on-1. And without the, like I said, in my eyes, he's the MVP. And without the MVP and your best player, you're facing your franchise. It's really hard for me to sit here and justify you winning a game in this series unless, Maxey goes off, Tobias Harris goes off, everything goes right for, the Sixers. James Harden turns it back to 2017, and he's playing like he's in Houston again. Like maybe I'm being a little hard on the Sixers because I'm not a big fan of Doc Rivers, but I struggle to see them winning a game in this series.
He stayed with DeAndre Jordan, and after the game, they asked him why'd you do that? He had the worst plus minus on the whole team, and he was saying like, oh, DeAndre's our guy, like we're gonna stick with him. Like that's the thing with Doc Rivers is like he refuses to adjust, dude, ever, and he's always too late to adjust. So I mean I agree with you on that point. Yeah, I 100% agree.
There's
with you
no it's not a mistake. He's blown so many series leads and playoffs in his career because of his stubbornness. So I'm with you right there, man.
It's nasty stuff, dude. Nasty stuff. All right, let's move on to the last series. We got the Phoenix Suns versus the Dallas Mavericks. Suns pulled out this game. They kind of controlled it the entire game. Mavericks made it kind of close at the end. Fucking blew the under because they kept fucking letting the Mavericks shoot layups and they would just do it and then foul. And then like the game was never really close. But Luka went off, man. 45, 8 assists, 12 rebounds.
Right.
They're obviously going to need more from other guys for them to win the series. Like, how do you see this series playing out?
Yeah, Luka was special. Luka was special, and Jalen Brunson has been playing really well for them, and especially in that first round. So, if the Mavs are going to have any shot at making this series competitive, Jalen Brunson is going to have to be a lot more assertive on the offensive end, especially. Spencer Dinwiddie is going to have to give some type of help offensively as well. As far as who I like in this series, I've maintained my stance before the series even started that I thought that the Suns would win in 6 games, and I'm gonna stick with that.
Yeah, I actually like Suns at 5. I think they're the much better team. I think the thing with Jalen Brunson is, he's going to be guarded by Chris Paul, and what people forget about Chris Paul is he's the all defensive player. You know what I mean? Like he's no slouch, and Jalen Brunson's small too. You know what I mean? Like, Chris Paul struggles against Drew Holiday, but Drew Holiday is 6'4" and strong as a fucking horse, dude. Whereas Jalen Brunson is like 5'11". So, I mean, he's more on par with Chris Paul physicality-wise or physical-wise. So, I think it's going to be difficult. Also, the Mavs just have zero answer for DeAndre Ayton, dude. Like,
he's killing them.
DeAndre Ayton was getting whatever he wanted down low. Like, he shot 60% from the floor, and they just kept finding him, dude, down low. Like, they were just getting him. He was getting position on whoever he had there and was just killing him. So I think ultimately, like, that's the biggest thing. Like, Dallas has to figure something out defensively for that because that's really where they got killed. Like, you take away DeAndre Ayton, and they probably win that game. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
That's the interesting thing. Because, I mean, Devin Booker wasn't even that good. Like, he was 7 for 20 from the floor, 23 points. I mean, not that good at all. That's a game. If you showed me the box score and didn't show me DeAndre Ayton and I didn't watch the game, I would be like, oh, the Suns lost that game by 50, But no, they won that game.
And speaking of Devin Booker, in your opinion, is he healthy to you? Does he look healthy to you?
I mean, I don't think he's gonna be 100% in the series, dude. Like, or in the playoffs. And I thought they rushed him back too soon, dude. You know what I mean? Like,
that's why I asked. That's why I asked you.
That's the one thing I like about what the Bucks are doing with Middleton. They're kind of like, hey man, you're gonna sit this series out because even if we do rush you back, like there's a chance that you could get hurt even worse, and then we don't have you further on, or you're just not gonna be very effective, and you're only gonna bring the team down. I mean, it didn't hurt the Suns in the last 2 games, but it took a fucking career game from Chris Paul in Game 6 against the Pelicans for them to win that game. And then DeAndre Ayton kind of went bonkers. Now, does DeAndre Ayton sustain 25 points a game in the series? I don't know. But I do know that if the Mavs are going to stop DeAndre Ayton, that means they're going to have to commit more bodies, which is only going to open up things for guys like Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Cameron Johnson, Mikal Bridges.
Mikal Bridges, yeah. Mm-hmm.
The thing
Cam Johnson, like you mentioned, yeah.
the thing with Mikal Bridges in this series is the Suns aren't relying on him to give you anything offensively because he's guarding Luka the whole game. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
he's matched up with him. He matched him basically minutes. Luka played 44 minutes. Mikal played 42. He's the only Suns player over 40 minutes last game. You know what I mean? So it's gonna be tough for the Mavericks, dude. I don't think they have the personnel to beat the Suns.
Yeah, it's kind of a bad matchup. I just Luka's such a generational talent. I feel like he can get a game, maybe two in this series. But again, I still like Phoenix. I still think they're going to the Western Conference Finals.
I agree 100%. All right, who do you think is going to win the West?
Great question. I'm going with the Suns. I like them coming out the West. I think they got something to prove. I think they've been looking to prove something all year. They've been the best team in basketball, so I think they get back to the finals. I think they're representing the Western Conference.
And who do you have winning the East?
I have the Bucks coming out of the East. I'm greedy, so I want to see a rematch of last year's finals.
Whew. Oh man,
So, yeah. So
that's who I picked to come out in both conferences to begin the year. So I'm gonna stick with it.
there you go.
I'm a little nervous though. I'm a little nervous because Booker's not healthy, and I'm a little nervous because Middleton's not healthy. If both those dudes were healthy, I'd be much more confident in those picks, dude.
I mean, should Milwaukee advance, he should be ready for the Eastern Conference Finals. Do you think?
Oh yeah,
Should they advance?
yeah. I mean, he was out warming up today in pregame. He was shooting around and stuff. So I mean, he's able to move on it. It's just they're not willing to risk it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't blame him. I don't blame the team for that.
There's only one guy that can play on one leg and be good, and that's Giannis.
Oh yeah. Yeah, most definitely, because he's not human.
He is not. That man is not human, dude, at all. All right, dude. I have to ask you because I have you on here. If you guys aren't familiar with Mo, you can follow him on Twitter at your boy Mo87, right? 87.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You got it.
87. Dude, that was all off memory, dude. Nothing written down. That's pretty good.
My guy.
And then
I'm impressed, Stacks.
You can also check out his podcast, the Killer Crossover Podcast. Great podcast. They always have a lot of different guests on there too, so it's a very unique and diverse podcast for anyone out there. Like they have people on clothing companies. They got relationship coaches on there and stuff like that. Just very interesting stuff, man. I love what you and Iman do on that podcast. But
thank you, brother.
The best part about Mo is he is a huge Raiders fan, and I love giving him shit about his fucking Raiders. Dude.
Raiders.
And
Raiders.
and you've had a big offseason, Mo, for the Raiders, man. Big offseason. What's your thoughts on the offseason so far?
Honestly, I hope I don't jinx myself, but this is the most excited I've been about Raiders football since 2017. And we all know how 2017 worked out for us. So I'm hoping it goes in the opposite direction. But I've honestly have been very impressed with this new regime. Josh McDaniels has really turned my opinion around about him. When they first announced the hire, I wasn't completely sold on Josh McDaniels, but what really made me turn the corner is when I listened to his introductory press conference with him and Dave Ziegler. And what really impressed me about McDaniels is he took ownership and he held himself accountable about what happened in Denver back in 2009. And one thing that really stuck out to me about his presser is when he said, "I knew a little about football. I didn't know a lot about people." That impressed me in the sense, okay, he understands that he didn't make the best decisions in Denver, and he has enough self-awareness to understand that things have to be different this time. So I definitely like the approach. I was a little nervous at first because as our our counterparts, they were really aggressive at first. You know, Khalil Mack going to the Chargers, signing J.C. Jackson to that big free agent deal. You know, the Chiefs are always going to be there. Denver getting Russell Wilson, so it was a little nervous, but then he shocked the world by getting the best receiver in football. And even before that, I love the Chandler Jones pickup. Thank you for that, brother, by the way.
Oh, you're welcome, dude. Good luck. Good luck with that. Good luck.
Yeah, hopefully he can stay healthy because he has not been healthy. But getting Devontae, man, was a game changer. You definitely gotta, you know, pay attention to the Raiders now. You definitely gotta respect us. You know, offensively, you know, we have a really strong chance of being a top 5 to top 10 offense. I mean, you have losing my train of thought here. You got Devontae, obviously. You got Darren Waller. You got Hunter Renfrow is one of the better slot receivers in the league. You got a two-headed monster in running back with Kenyon Drake and Josh Jacobs. The offensive line is still a work in progress, so top 5, top 10 might be a little ambitious, but with Josh Daniels' playbook and the fact that he stresses adaptability, versatility, and not beating yourselves, and I feel like he's going to do wonders for us in the red zone, which is something that we really struggled with, especially under Gruden. I just like to. Oh shit! Damn it!
I can hear you still. You're good.
Okay. Yeah, I just like the direction that we're going in, bro. I definitely like the direction that we're going in, and I'm excited. I can't wait, man. I really, it's gonna be tough. AFC is crazy competitive this year.
Yeah.
Like it's so crazy, man. We have legit 11 teams maybe off the top of my head that have legit chance at really like making some noise. So it's gonna be a battle, man. But I'm up for it. I feel like we're well equipped for the challenge. So let's see what we do with it. Derek Carr has absolutely no excuses anymore. I mean, I get a lot of shit for riding with that guy, but he's got to deliver, man. I think this is his last chance to prove everybody wrong. So we're gonna see what they do with it, bro. But yeah, again, I'm excited. Definitely excited.
Yeah, man. I was gonna say that's a great point that you brought up because I was actually like hanging on to that. I was gonna talk about that. Is there's no more excuses for Carr, bro. There's no more. He has no weapons. There's no more of that. And I know we talked a lot about this, and I said last year the Raiders got kind of lucky down the stretch with their schedule, and I still believe that. Vegas agrees with me. Your over-under win totals for the year is 8.5, so they actually have you guys winning less games this year.
Which is just fucking asinine to me, but it's cool.
Well, I think that's more to do with your division getting better.
Right, I understand.
And to be honest, dude, I think the Chiefs got better, dude. Like, yeah, they lose Tyreek Hill, but honestly, like, Tyreek Hill, no, I'm not paying Tyreek Hill the money he got from Miami. I'm sorry, dude. Like, I'm just not, dude.
I don't think he's worth that at all.
And they were able to trade him and get depth in areas they needed. They drafted one of the best defensive ends. Karlaftis fell to him, dude, in their lap. He was like the 3rd-ranked defensive end in most people's mock drafts. And they get a solid cornerback. They draft Sky Moore, who a lot of people think may be the best receiver in the draft. They get him in the 2nd round. So I really like what Kansas City is doing. Plus, you know, as long as 15's on the field, I still think they're the best team in that division. The rest of the AFC West, though, I mean, it's a coin toss to me, dude. Like, it wouldn't shock me if the Raiders made the playoffs. It wouldn't shock me if the Chargers made the playoffs. It wouldn't shock me if the Broncos made the playoffs. And it wouldn't shock me if none of those teams made the playoffs. Although I think at least one of them is going to. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I think it's just like it's just so much. Like, there's so many question marks about all those teams because I have question marks about Russell Wilson because Russell Wilson hasn't been the same since week 6 of 2020. Like, the numbers say that. The data says that. Everyone says it's everything else, his offensive line, he had 2 good receivers, so they can't blame it on the receivers. So I don't know what it is with Russ. We'll find out more this year. And then for the Chargers, They were dead last in stopping the run last year. They didn't really. I mean, Khalil Mack's good against the run, but he's more of a pass rusher. They didn't really add anyone to stop the run, so they didn't really address a lot of their needs, right? And then the Raiders, like, I thought they had a phenomenal year last year, dude. But you bring in Chandler Jones, a guy who literally only had 5 sacks from week 2 to week 17. So you're talking 16 weeks that dude had 5 sacks because he had 5 sacks in game 1. And he just,
I remember.
He just fell off a fucking cliff, dude. Like an absolute cliff. So I don't know what you can expect from him. You didn't have a ton of draft picks, so your depth is already at question. Your secondary stinks. I don't know.
Secondary, like,
you're really relying on Carr to really put up like 28 points a game, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair point, and I've maintained my position for quite some time. That the offensive line and our secondary are my 2 biggest concerns. The fact that Trayvon Mullen, who just had surgery today, is CB1 on the depth chart, that scares the fuck out of me. Like, I think Trayvon Mullen has a lot of ability. I think he's talented. I like his physical measurements, but the fact that he hasn't been able to stay on the field at all since he's been drafted, that's concerning if he's going to be our CB1. Rock Young Singh, I don't know too much about him. Anthony Everett, I think we just signed him just for depth. So I'm really disappointed that we didn't make a bigger push for Stephon Gilmore. But that might have been more of a pipe dream because the money that he was asking at his age was ridiculous. I don't think we were going to give that to him. So he just went with the money.
Yeah.
I really don't see how he fits in with Gus Bradley's scheme over at Colts, but over at the Colts. But hey, more power to him. He got his money.
I think the thing that helps him on the Colts is that the Colts have like a good defense around him. So it's like,
I
don't think it's like I don't think it's gonna be as big of a glaring issue as he may have been on other teams, dude. Like when I heard the Cardinals were interviewing him and stuff, and I was like, bro, this dude's asking for 16 mil. Like, there's no way y'all can give this man 16 mil, dude. Like, there's no way you could pay that dude that much, especially when
not at 31 years old coming off an injury. Nah, absolutely not.
Especially when Kyler's asking for an extension, dude. It's like, come on, dog. Like, just can't do this. I mean, don't get me started on the Cardinals, dude. Like, it's gonna be.
Oh man, I won't rub it in, bro. But back to the Raiders, man. You know, love the draft though. Honestly, bro, it's refreshing as a Raider fan to see.
Man, you were out there stressing on Saturday, dude. You're like, what the fuck are we doing? I was like, bro, just chill, dog.
Man, it's just refreshing that we didn't reach for picks, man. I'm so used to I got PTSD with this shit. Like, I'm so used to them just picking horrible players. But
the one thing I will say though too is bro, we always, us fans and outsiders, we always talk about reaches to us, right? We're not in that war room. We're not in that draft room. You know what I mean? Like,
fair point.
A lot of people said John Gruden reached for Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs was good. You know what I mean? Like, now he's kind of like a little worn down, but you know, he that was a great pick, dude. They actually drafted really well, except for Salim Farrell and what's the other dude? Abrams. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they hit on some nice picks.
Yeah, I mean, they hit on Max, they hit on Hunter, you know, so it wasn't all terrible. But, you know, with this new regime, I just felt like we accomplished 2 things. We got the best available player, and we got guys that are versatile. So I think that's important. I think the 2 offensive linemen that we took, they can play in different spots.
I think the biggest thing in the NFL now, too, Mo, is depth. You have to have depth, dude.
Yeah, 100%. That's why we took those 2 D linemen. I mean, we really added depth to the trenches, so I can't be mad at that.
That's an
Every
area
successful
where like
NFL team.
that's an area too. Sorry to interrupt, but that's an area defensive line that is so important now because you have to get after the quarterback, especially in your division where you are going against the Herberts, the
Absolutely.
Mahomes, and the
Yeah.
Wilsons, dude. You have
Right.
to have a great defensive line in that division.
Right. Absolutely. And like I said, we really focused on bringing depth to the trenches because that's how you build your foundation. If you're an NFL franchise, it starts in the trenches, your offensive line and defensive line.
Yep.
If you don't have that foundation, you're done for. So I like the picks. We got good value, we got good depth. Now it's just about coaching these young guys up. And hopefully these new rookies, offensive linemen I'm speaking of, hopefully they can push Leatherwood. Because, dear Lord, that kid was awful last year.
I liked him at Alabama,
Oh,
though.
my God. Yeah, he was great at Alabama, but he just, I don't know, man. I don't know if the lights was too bright for him, but
I think
see this man.
I think the same thing with him and Evan Neal, dude, who was drafted this year. Like, that was my biggest question about Evan Neal is because Evan Neal's been, like, all over the offensive line. It's like, okay, so that's a good thing. Like, he's versatile. He could play all over the offensive line. But he also wasn't good as a right tackle. So it's like he was good as a guard and a left tackle. But that's the same thing with Leatherwood, right? Like, he was best as a guard, and then the Raiders moved him to right tackle. Like, why are you playing him out of where he was the best? Idea. You know?
Yeah, so this new regime needs to really figure out where he's going to be useful at. Is it going to be right tackle? Is it going to be guard? I hope they would put him at his natural position, which is guard, because we've seen what he did at right tackle. They were drastic results, but you know he is young. He is young. So maybe he can figure it out. You know, he does. Can't expect a lot from a young player. You know, you want to give him a couple years to develop. So hopefully he can turn the corner in year 2.
Facts, man.
He did show flashes of promise. I'll give him that. But the penalties, the mental mistakes, the footwork, he has a lot of shit he needs to clean up.
All right, so before we get out of here, over, under 8.5 wins for the Las Vegas Raiders.
You put me on the spot.
On the spot, dude.
I'm going to say we get at least 9 wins. I'm going to go over.
9 wins. He's going over. All right, y'all. Thank you for tapping in with us. Very special shout out to Mo, man. Thank you for coming on tonight on the very last In the Game podcast. Next week on Sunday night, we are obviously transitioning to a whole new schedule. We'll be on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday nights, Taproom Sports Podcast, doing just recapping every night and looking forward to the next day of every game against the spread, totals, over-unders, big things popping. We got a lot going on. We may even have to have Mo on for football season to talk some Raiders, basketball season for Lakers, of course, because I love when you get upset about your Lakers too, dude. There's nothing like it. Make sure to follow him on Twitter at your boy Mo87. Go check out the Killer Crossover podcast. I'm telling y'all, it's good work. Iman and Mo are over there killing it. Always love what they're doing. I appreciate you, Mo. Again, thank you for coming on, man.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you having me on the final episode, man. It's big blessings to you, bro, and I appreciate you thinking about me tonight, brother.
Hell yeah, dude. Hey, this is my guy right here, dude. I'm telling y'all, go follow him right now, dude. You will not be disappointed. For Mo, I'm Jordan Stacks on Stacks Lats. I will be back tomorrow night for TSP Wagers. We'll be breaking down some NHL playoff games, some NBA playoff games, some Major League Baseball. And then I'll be back Thursday with the final episode of APR. I'll see y'all later.
Peace.